Hey, what's up? It's Comic95, the Savior. So for this video, I kind of want to, I don't know how to explain it, recap, touch on the same topic again that I've talked about, and that is simply telling you guys to relax. I think a lot of you guys are really overthinking it and thinking ahead about your experience being here in Japan. So, first things first. As I've said before, your life is not going to be perfect here. So it's literally a total, complete waste of time to try to have everything perfectly planned out, both in your mind, on paper, and of course, realistically once you get here. I think that a lot of people have already decided, okay, I want to have my own space, or I'm going to do whatever, I want to work at this job, I want to go to this school, etc. And while it's great to have plans and goals and ideas, the reality is these things are going to change once you actually live here. For starts, a place that you see online that looks really nice might not be as nice once you actually get here. A school that seems nice and promising, you might have trouble keeping up with your class. The tuition might be more than what they told you was going to be. Unexpected costs, anything can happen. Your financial aid might not go through. You might get a lower, loan amount than you thought. Whatever the case might be, an emergency might come up. So, just because everything seems nicely planned out at home does not mean that's how it's gonna go here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to not plan and just wing it and come over, but I am saying don't think so much like, should I do this, should I go here? I get a lot of messages from you guys asking me very specific, detailed questions, which that's nice, but I feel like a lot of you guys aren't really thinking in a Japan mindset. You're thinking more like an American. For example, a lot of you guys have this idea where you want this big apartment. You've decided, I don't want a small apartment. I want to pay the extra money. I don't want to be inside of a share house. I'm going to pay for whatever. And before I get into that, I get a lot of messages and comments from people saying, oh, I'm not staying at a share house. I'm staying in a social apartment. Guys, a social apartment is a fancy word for Gaijins that are stupid and stuck up. It's literally the exact same thing as a share house. Share houses also have private rooms. It's no different. Now, of course, I get what you're saying. I personally stayed at a social apartment too, and the difference between a social apartment and a share house is that you have a much larger space. Generally, in a social apartment, you will have your own private bathroom, and thus it becomes more like a regular apartment, but a lot of them don't even give you that. It's just a big private room. Now, the problem with staying inside of a social apartment, is the fact that you're not really covering your own bills. Either the company does it for you, or they give you a miscellaneous amount that you can't really track back to see, how do they know I owe this much, etc. It varies. Now beyond that, because I know somebody's going to comment and say, well, actually my apartment does tell me, break down my bill. That's nice, but my point is it's not a normal apartment. They have the right to kick you out at any given time, to raise your rent, do all kind of things they could not normally do with a regular apartment. You're also living with mostly, if not all, foreigners. You're staying inside of a share house. You can phrase it whatever way you want to, call it whatever you like. It's a share house. So, off of that, that's not a bad thing. I personally recommend that that's the way that you come to Japan. You'll not only save a lot of money, it gives you a chance to make mistakes with an apartment that's not yours or a room that's not yours. And third, it gives you the opportunity to get experience and knowledge from others. You'll be living with people that have been in Japan longer than you, thus they know how things work. You can learn how to ride the train, how to update, your ID at the ward office, etc., where the post office is. All of these things you can get help from people that live inside of your building, versus if you were to get your own apartment on your own, your landlord more than likely is not going to hold your hand and show you how to do these things. You're going to have to, put on your big boy pants and do it yourself. So, off of that, don't worry about those things. Your goal is to get here. After you get here, lived here, worked here, etc., you save up enough money, you learn the system of how things work, then we can work on your ridiculous goals of trying to have carpet, a place that accepts both pets and foreigners. Yes, I had to say that, etc. A lot of you guys aren't being realistic when it comes to what you expect in an apartment. Not to mention, once again, as I've talked about before, you should not be planning to bring your entire wardrobe here. That's ridiculous. Mailing stuff back and forth, having, huge boxes shipped. Where are you going to put this stuff at? Your apartment will not be that big, you guys. Next, I also want to talk to you guys about jobs. Now, this one is a very controversial one that you may or may not agree with, but hear me out. I know from experience, because I've worked them all, you are more than likely not going to start off in Japan working your dream job. I've already said this before, but I feel the need to say it again. Your goal is to get your foot in the door. It does not matter what company you work for, as long as it sponsors your visa and it's legal and you're not putting your life on the line or your morals. Yes, except the job. Once you get here, you can switch jobs at any time as long as that new job, preferably, also can sponsor your visa. This is the easiest way to get here, to go through, normal language schools such as Nova, GABA, etc. There's others as well. These are not the only two. For some reason, you don't get hired with either of them. But keep in mind that those are the two easiest companies. They have a ridiculously high turnover rate. They have locations all throughout Japan, and they're always hiring. That's the best part. The hiring process is also very fast. And I have experience interviewing with both. I've also taught students that have gone to both schools. So I know the perspective from both the student and from an employee, because I also have friends that have worked for these companies. Are they perfect jobs? No, but no company in Japan is. Another big thing you want to get out of your mind, you guys, these companies are Japanese. They're not American. So if you're expecting to have ridiculously long vacation, you expect to be treated like a decent human being, you can forget that. Welcome to Japan, you guys. I'm sorry, but all the cupcakes and rainbows, butterfly experiences that you're expecting to have, like how you would at a normal company in the US, is not going to happen here in Japan. They can get away with practically murder here. And it's really unfortunate, but that's the reality. So again, a lot of the crazy stuff that you've read and seen online, yes, it is true. But the reality is, you're going to have a hard time escaping that, because most companies in Japan are just like that. They abuse their employees, they overwork you, they underpay you, they lie about what your salary is going to be, they lie about what your job is going to be. They may have promised you you're going to be teaching high schoolers, and then there you are on your second day already working with 2-year-olds. That's life. Can you do anything about it? Absolutely not, because it's Japan. Yes, this sucks. Yes, you're going to reconsider, do you really want to be here? And the reality is, that's exactly why I said this earlier. You need to decide in your mind that you are here for Japan, not to be rich, not to have your dream job, whatever. Now, of course, you can get that. I personally love my job, but the reality is, for a lot of people, if not most people, you might not necessarily be able to say the same thing until or unless you start your own company, or maybe you have to move and relocate and find that special place for you. I personally had to do that. And it's okay if you have to do the same thing. So again, don't feel trapped. You can switch and get another job. But the reality is, all of these companies are pretty much the same. So if you have in your mind, I don't like kids, I don't want to teach this age group, I don't want to have to stand outside and pass out flyers, etc., get used to it, because that's going to be your job here in Japan. Teaching English is the easiest thing to do. It's also the most profitable in most situations. Now, of course, there's that one unicorn that's going to start up some crazy IT company, get rich scheme, whatever, and it works out for them. But the reality is, for the thousands of you that are going to come across this video, that's not going to happen for you. So, the reality is, most foreigners here are teaching English. It pays more, it's easier to get a job doing it, and you can make money much faster than trying to learn Japanese and do whatever else. The reality too that people seem to forget, a lot of you guys have in your mind, I get messages all the time where you're like, oh, that's why I'm studying Japanese so that I can do XYZ job. I don't want to be a teacher. That is such a cute dream. But the reality is, nobody's gonna hire you. You want to know why? Because why the hell would they want to hire you, a useless foreigner, when I can hire a native Japanese speaker that is also bilingual and speaks English? Exactly. There is no reason to hire you. You're useless. Just being real. It's going to be maybe 5 of you applicants out of the thousands that apply that actually get that job. And sure, you might say, well, it's worth it to take a chance to be that, whatever out of 5. Yeah, tell that to all of the South Asians and all of the Caribbean people that are, checking me out at the grocery store, that are twice my age. I feel so sorry for them. But you want to know what? They want to be in Japan. So they're working whatever job they can get. It's worth it to them. But for the rest of you that are delusional, and you have inside of your mind, oh, I'm going to get this job working at a Japanese company, I'm going to learn Japanese at an N1 or N2 level. That's really cute, sweetheart. But the reality is, no matter how well you speak, you're not Japanese. Thus, they're not going to hire you. The same can really be said about the US too. The US will always have a preference for those that are actually US citizens. Now, of course, it's much easier to get a job as someone that does not have US citizenship in the US, but the reality is, for most people, if you have a visa, they're obviously going to choose someone that is a normal citizen over someone that's staying in the US on a temporary status. Japan is the same way, but on a much more extreme scale, and it goes beyond just your status. For example, you might be here on permanent residency. You might be married to a Japanese person living on a spouse visa that's long term. It doesn't matter. Once again, they'd rather hire someone that's Japanese. It goes much deeper than just language. A lot of people that I talk to here thinks that living in Japan is just language, and I cannot stress it out enough. Culture is more important than anything you can learn as far as language goes. And the reason being is, what good is language without culture? If you don't understand Japanese culture, how the hell is language going to benefit you? You need to understand formality. How should you talk? What should you do? What should your body language be like? What should your, tone be, your volume, etc. A lot of people come here blindly, and while they can speak Japanese, they can understand it, they don't know how to act like it. And unfortunately, Japan is not the US. So trying to be a unicorn, stand out, you want to be different, you want to be ghetto, ratchet, you're just showing, your personality, blah, blah, blah. You're coming off as a damn fool, insulting, ignorant, and you're making both your country and yourself look like a fool and really bad. But again, this is the difference between someone that just knows language and someone that knows culture. Keep in mind when I say culture, I'm not talking about pop music or anime or dramas and movies. I'm talking about day-to-day life. You'd be amazed. I work with so many people that have been in Japan for years and years, and there's little basic things that they don't understand that's not appropriate to say, bring up, or talk about. There's a lot of cultural differences. A lot of Japanese stuff requires you to take the blame, to keep your mouth shut, and to basically avoid confrontation at all costs. In situations where in the US, you'd be encouraged to speak up to save your ass. But in Japan, speaking up makes you look like you're irresponsible. So we can get into all of that stuff in a whole nother video. But once again, decide, do you want to come to Japan to experience Japanese lifestyle and culture? Or are you busy trying to bring your culture over to Japan? Which is pointless. Why live in another country if you're not going to attempt to assimilate? We'll get into that argument later. But long story short, my point to you guys is, you are not going to have your dream job. Don't expect to have your dream house. You'll get all of this stuff later. Get your foot in the door. Take that crappy, cheap share house. Take that crappy, low-paying job. You want something that's going to put food on the table, something that's going to give you a roof over your head. Does not matter if you have to share that space. In fact, like I said, I'm very grateful that I started off living inside of a crummy dorm with horrible roommates, and that I had a low-paying job that treated me like crap for my first job here in Japan, because now I'm so much more grateful and appreciative of having a nice place to live in, of having a wonderful job to work at. I came a long ways. I switched from different cities. I've lived in Tokyo, Kyoto, Kobe, Osaka. I've lived in all four. My life was not perfect at any of these places. Still not perfect now, but it's getting better. It's a work in progress. Don't expect your life to be perfect overnight. It's okay to quit jobs. It's okay to not like where you're living at. And you can save money. You will be able to work here. Japan is not nearly as expensive as people make it seem, especially not when you're living by yourself. A lot of the reason why people find Japan to be expensive is because they've chosen a really big, overpriced apartment that they cannot afford with their salary. They've also decided that they're going to go out to eat for every meal, every night. And of course, they're also overeating. If all you're buying is a whole bunch of junk food, or you're strictly eating, or eating a lot of fruit, which is pretty expensive here, yeah, of course you're going to be broke if you're working a little minimum wage job. A lot of you guys don't even work. You're living off of, the 2 students that you teach on a whim every week and your financial aid. If you're going to be a lazy bum, you're not going to work, you want to live off of your loan money, you want to live off of mom and dad, well then yeah, Japan is going to be expensive. But if you choose to get a normal job, like the rest of us, and you live within your means, no, it's actually pretty cheap. It's a lot cheaper than the US. I could never live downtown in America for anything under about $1,200 to $1,500. And generally speaking, it's more like $1,500 and up. In Japan, you can easily live in an extremely nice apartment. People will think you're rich if you're paying $1,000 or more for your home. So again, get your priorities in check, live within your means, don't go out to eat all the time, eat at home, cook regular meals, Get some exercise. You don't have to always be stuffing your mouth with food. I find that the people that complain about the pricing the most here in Japan, once again, they're living outside of their means. If you're not making a ton of money an hour, you should not be eating a ton of money. So I feel like a lot of people have expensive taste in food. You want to go out and eat steak. You want to go out to, this ramen shop, go out and get curry. Spending those $10 to $20 each meal is expensive. Eat at home. Only spend, 1 to 300 yen, which is $1 to $3. That's it. Not expensive at all. Again, it's all a matter of what you choose to eat, what you choose to cook. You need to budget better. That's all I can say as far as that goes. So, again, don't expect everything to be perfect. I've switched schools, I've switched jobs, I've switched housing, everything. And the biggest mistake you can ever make here, not just about, not speaking Japanese, learning culture, etc., is to feel trapped. Do not get yourself into, the illusion, the bubble, whatever, where you come to Japan and you're afraid to quit your job. That is the one Japanese thing that I will never stand behind. If you are unsatisfied with your place of work, you're being abused, treated like crap, you don't like it here, quit, leave, it's fine. You're not Japanese, and I'm sorry to contradict myself, but in this case, I mean it. You're not Japanese, and honestly, they don't expect you to stay. It's fine. If I were to follow things the Japanese way, I would be making half of what I am right now. I wouldn't be living inside of this nice place right now. I wouldn't have made the new friends that I made. My life would be horrible. Now, I work less hours, I get paid more money, I'm living in a better place, I actually have coworkers that I love, I'd even say. I love my students, I love my job, I love the location, everything is perfect. I couldn't have possibly asked for more. This is all from not quitting once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4, not 5. I've lost track. I've worked several jobs here in Japan, and I haven't even been here for several years. It might look bad to some, but it's worked out for me. If I worked the same job, I'd be getting paid the same amount of money. That job didn't give raises. They didn't do bonuses. I was constantly being yelled at, never good enough. Actually made me cry. I couldn't even fathom any of that stuff happening at this new company. And this job isn't necessarily forever either. I am more open to moving and going wherever I feel called to go. You find something better, take it. But make sure you do your research, make sure you have a backup plan, and always try your best when possible to leave your company and house on good terms. You never know who you're going to need. You never know who you'll run into. And again, you're human. Your life is not going to be perfect no matter where you go, unfortunately. It's okay to make mistakes. Trial and error, you will learn. It's fine. So again, don't overthink everything. I promise you, as long as you make an effort, you will make friends. You will find a good job, no matter what country you come from. And remember, you have to ask yourself, why are you here? Think about all of the stuff you went through to get where you are. Is it worth it to go back home? Probably isn't. People leave Japan every day over little stuff. Someone says something racist to them. Someone looks at them a certain way. You should read my messages. It should only make you stronger. For every racist, bad, mean, rude person, I have tons of people saying positive things about me. And you will too. Again, not everyone's going to be nice to you, not everyone's going to love and like you, but not everyone's going to hate you and treat you badly either. So take your time, relax, do your research, it's okay, and remember, your goal is to get here the cheapest way possible. Not to have a place that's, worthy of being shown off to friends and family. Because to be honest, it's kind of taboo to even have your boyfriend or girlfriend or friends over your place in the first place. Nobody's gonna know that you're poor. And I've said this before in another video. It is such a waste to spend so much money trying to buy expensive food, trying to buy, or trying to get an expensive apartment, because nobody's gonna see your place. Sure, people might try to take advantage of you because you're a foreigner and they want to be nosy or use you for sex. and they might ask to come over your place. But Japanese people don't do that. They don't. People don't come over your house. People don't have parties. That's not a normal thing here. Your boyfriend, girlfriend? Nope. If you're dating somebody, sure they can, but definitely not friends. And if you're dating someone, they really shouldn't care. One night stands, that's what love hotels are for. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Again, you're here to live in Japan. Any place you can find is better than living in a trash can or living on a bench in a park. A lot of you guys have too much pride. You have too many things that you're like, oh, I can't do this. I don't want to have that. Do you want to be in Japan or not? Then maybe it's worth it to have that dorm, roommate or whatever. Maybe it's worth it to sleep on a bunk bed. Maybe it's worth it to stay inside of an old beat up apartment with no insulation. Do what you have to do to get here. Once you get a good job, once you finish school, you can choose whatever place you like. If you're someone that has finished school, same thing goes for you. Wait until you come here, get your funds up again because you spent a lot of money getting your suitcase together, paying for your flight ticket, paying all of your fees to move into your first place. Get an idea of what it's like to live in Japan. And then after that, you can decide, what is your apartment missing? What is your location missing? What do you want? What do you not want? It's not easy to do from abroad and overseas. It's not easy to do when you have already been thrown into your own apartment. But if you start off low, you start off working a low paying job, you start off working, or living in a place that's not so nice. Now you can see the extremes. You know what it's like to be in a really bad situation. And now you can also search and look for things that will make your life easier and better. So again, it's not a race. There's no competition. No one's going to know what you're living like but you. And while your place might not be the nicest, you sure are living like it. The less money you're spending in rent, the more money you have for entertainment, for food, fun, games, partying, travel, etc. A lot of you guys are so fixated on where you're going to live, wanting carpet, wanting a place that allows pets, wanting to have this big apartment, wanting to have a nice big bathroom, wanting to have kitchen space where you can have a table and chairs. You want all of this stuff. And it's like, you're not even going to spend any time inside of your kitchen sitting down at the table. When are you going to have time for that? You're going to be busy working. You're going to be out with your friends, dating, fucking, doing your own thing. So why does it matter? It doesn't. You better take that little cheap $300 apartment, because you're going to pay that $800, $900 for an apartment that nobody's going to see but you and that boy or girl that's going to break your heart in a month. Then what? Get your heart broken again? That's what you want? Go ahead, go for it. But I'm telling you, it's a total waste. I would much rather live inside of a crappy $300 apartment and be able to spend that other $300, $400 on having fun, going on nice dates, hanging out with my friends, eating yakiniku, go to karaoke bars. Can't do that when you're spending $900 on rent. And especially if you're living in Tokyo, you really want to choose whatever your cheapest options are. Because contrary to what people keep saying for some reason, sorry, I lived and worked in Tokyo, and Tokyo's salary is the exact same, if not lower, than the salaries in other areas. You're paying more in rent and getting paid the same amount of money. That's a lose-lose situation to me. There's some jobs that pay more, but not so much. I've seen jobs that pay higher outside of Tokyo because it's less competitive. There aren't as many teachers, for example, in the Kansai area as there are in the Kanto area. Yokohama, Tokyo, Saitama, etc. have way more applicants than a school in, say, Osaka, Kyoto, Shiga, Kobe, Wakayama. Who wants to work in these places? People do, but not nearly as many, especially a place like Nara. So again, quit trying to impress other people, quit trying to be a perfectionist. I promise you it's a waste of time. Your fake friends and family that you're trying to impress and brag about how you're living in Japan, they don't know what's good or bad here. They're gonna be excited for you, or they're gonna be jealous of you and hate you regardless of how you're living or what you're doing. Doesn't make a difference. You can smile and take cute videos and pictures on Instagram all you want. But what's gonna happen once you turn off that camera? You're gonna go home, go to bed, and you're gonna be eating curry and rice every night. And I mean curry and rice without the meat. No vegetables either. Because you can't afford that, can you? Because you're spending all of your money on your rent. Same thing goes for your workplace. A lot of you guys have this princess mentality. You want a job that's super easy. You teach the age that you want. You teach the location that you want. Ha! Clearly never worked in Japan before. Because if you get those two things, consider yourself very lucky. More than likely, you're not going to get the age that you want. You're not going to teach the location that you want. And on top of that, your job is probably going to be somewhat far from where you actually live. Your boss is probably going to be a jerk, sexist, racist, whatever too. They're going to be nitpicky. You're going to be treated as an outsider. You can get lucky, have good situations, and I hope that you do. But a lot of you guys, you're not understanding what Japan is like. You're looking at these companies as what America is like, or what the UK is like. You're coming in with expectations that are not going to be met, and you will be disappointed. And you're probably going to want to go home. And that's why I said you have to remind yourself, you're here for a reason. You're here for yourself because you love Japan. This is your crappy job that you have to work in order to stay in Japan. You work that crappy job long enough until you find another one, and then you move on. And I promise you, you can only go up from there. You might have some lows. You might be like, oh my God, my life is in shambles. I have to go back home. I can't do this anymore. I've been there so many times, and I'm so happy. So happy that I did not go home. That I fought through it and I stayed here. I've had everything bad that you could possibly think of happen to me. I've gone broke. I've lost my money. I've been touched. I've been raped. I've had it all happen. And I'm still here. I broke my back. I got fired. I've quit. I've cried. I've had bad breakups. I felt suicidal. I've gone with no friends. I've gone with no boyfriend. Life goes on. You don't need other people. You only need yourself. You only need your own will, determination. Coming to Japan will not fix your life, but it will give you time to fix yourself. It will give you time to get to know yourself, to think for yourself, to decide what do you really want, what do you not want, what do you need. And a lot of the time, you really just need alone time to think to yourself. To decide what are you really after. I feel like that was my biggest wake-up call being here. And as I even admitted myself before, I had to realize, am I really in Japan to experience and enjoy Japan? Or am I really here because I want to live this fantasy life? I want to have a boyfriend. I want to do whatever. And it wasn't until I stopped chasing after guys, I stopped living in anime la la land, that I really got to understand Japanese culture. That I really found genuine people to date. That I learned how to date here. Again, is my life perfect now? No, it's still not. Am I satisfied with everything? Absolutely not. And as humans, we never will be. We'll always want more. You're gonna make mistakes. Get it out of your mind that you're not going to. But again, that's okay because we're all human. So that said, I'm sorry this video got so long. All I have to say is, don't worry about trying to have your perfect job. Don't worry about trying to have the perfect apartment. Because you're not going to. It won't happen. I promise you, it won't happen. I'm sorry. I hope it does. I hope that I'm wrong. But the reality is you're going to have to learn from experience. So thank you so much for watching. And if you found this video helpful, you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Why did I do that? I don't know. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, you can also follow me on my other social media accounts. I have an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook page, and a Snapchat as well. I would appreciate it if you would like and follow those pages too. And I hope you'll watch another video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.